Hi there, this is Floating in Books, and today we're going to be talking about my coloring journey 1 year after, I've just had my 1 year anniversary, you could say. So let's discuss. Welcome to everyone watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I have a quick little video for you. I'm going to be inserting some pictures of pages I've colored and some of my favorite coloring books that I've either colored the most in or that I'm really excited for coloring in more. Because I've been coloring for more than a year. I had my 1 year anniversary about 2 weeks ago, and ever since December I haven't colored too much. It's one of those things where I don't know what happened this winter, but I've just been really focusing on reading more rather than coloring more. And I started coloring last year because I couldn't read. So now that I can read again, the coloring is sort of like, they're kind of competing with each other is what I'm trying to say. So it's two hobbies that are sort of competing for my attention, and if I do more of the other, I'm not doing much of the other hobby, you could say. But I also sort of shot myself a little bit in the foot, because in December, I knew it would be a really busy period of work, and I was like, what better way to sort of think about nothing else but to color? So I decided to give myself the challenge of coloring in this book, The Huldra Folk Nordic Winter by Oda Agda, from start to finish, one page every single day. I almost managed to finish it, but after a while, I just noticed that some of the pages that hadn't gone viral from this book also weren't really good coloring pages. It's one of the things I learned as I've been going along, that you see a lot of the same pages being colored on internet, I feel, or if you're on TikTok or whatever it is you're watching. A lot of people are coloring the same pages, and I thought that was just because people were trying to hop on the trend. But now that I've tried to color a book from start to finish, I felt that some of the pages felt weirdly repetitive, and I could just see that the character had been copy pasted and just flipped in some of the pages. So I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I just wanted to come on here and talk about my coloring journey and how I've experienced that in the past year. So I have a little folder on my phone with loads of the different pages that I've colored throughout the year, and I started end of February, early March. At least those are the things I've saved, and then I didn't really start to seriously do more pages from 16th of March onwards. So that was about a week ago, but then a week and a year ago, you could say, as I'm filming this video. And of course, this was a new thing I was doing. I'm not someone who finds themselves super creative, and not someone who, I'm not really good at drawing or doing things like that, but because this whole coloring thing really sort of, to me, looked like doing eyeshadow and makeup, so I was I can do that, so maybe coloring is something for me as well. So I got some supplies, and then I just started coloring. I very quickly realized, in order to be able to do what everybody else was doing, I definitely needed some other things as well. I still have not invested in a full set of the Ohuhu markers that everybody's using. I do have some of the smaller sets that they do, so I have the pastel set because the Deco Time markers that I'm using for coloring don't come with a lot of very softer shades. And then I also bought the skin tone set because the Deco Time markers, again, don't have a lot of different brown tones in. So I got those because I thought that would be helpful for doing different colorings, and that way I was I can test out the Ohuhu formula and see what goes. And then I also bought a couple of Copic markers when I was in Japan, just to be able to test them out. And I actually think I still like my Deco Time markers more than I do the other ones. The only downside to the Deco Time markers is that you cannot refill them or reactivate them really once they're dried out. I've tried this. I saw some hacks. I was able to revive a marker for half a coloring page, and then it died on me again. So what I had to end up doing is that I've been buying some sets either on Vinted or from Action whenever they are in stock, to have some of my favorite markers always on hand, which is a bit of a shame because I'm now sitting on stacks of markers where half of it I can't use, but some of them are very hard to find because the Deco Time markers you cannot buy as singles. They're only sold as sets, and some of the shades only come in one particular set. Make it make sense. So that's one of the downsides. They are still less expensive though than buying Ohuhu. I think the 320 set from Ohuhu is like 269 euros on Amazon, and the Decotime set, like the most expensive set they have, is 300 markers, and they're 60 euros. So that's a big difference. So yeah, I did go ham trying to make sure I had all of the Decotime shades last spring, and I've been coloring and loving them. The main difference I feel between all of those markers is that the Decotime have a lot of ink and a lot of flow, so they're great at doing like bigger surfaces. The Ohuhus I feel are more like they're better at like sketching things. Like if you want to blend multiple shades together and still have like distinctive brush marks there that you can see how you've colored it. But with the Decotime, everything just kind of is absorbed by the paper and it kind of like bleeds together. And that's how you get the blend, you could say. The Decotime ones also are more prone to bleeding, I find. The Ohuhu ones are really good for more detailed work, I find. So if you like those very intricate colorings that you see online nowadays, which apparently take days for people to do, I don't have that kind of time. This is just something I do on like a Tuesday night when I don't want to watch TV and I don't want to read a book, but I want to do something else. And then I sit down and I color. So it's not something that I'm like really sort of I don't have the time to invest into it as some people have online. But yeah, so I started off like with teaching myself how to blend. That was the first thing. Like the first page I did just had some basic shading. I didn't like the shades that I picked very often, very early on, because I only had the limited, like, what was it? I think it was a 60 set of markers, or maybe 160 set. I don't remember. But I started off, or 80. I started with one of the smaller Decotime sets, and it had a lot of vibrant shades in, but nothing that was a little bit more muted. The first page I was really proud of was this one, with this little girl and the sunset, and that's what I was really, really enjoying. So that worked out really well. But very often I was like trying different things, and it didn't always work out. Definitely in the early days, I was just like trying things on the page. So here, for instance, is a page that I did at the end of March last year where I don't love the color scheme. Like, it kind of goes together, but you can see how vibrant this is. And it wasn't really always the vibe I was going for. So that definitely happened. I really enjoyed this one. This is from the Hygge Delights book from Sui Sui. And I really like this like rainbow sort of thing. I'm really proud of all the little glitter aspects I was able to like add in the like sea of candy. But I do find that whenever I go back to this book, I'm always stuck with this color story in my brain, and all I want to do in it is rainbow color stories. And I don't always want to paint rainbows, even though I do love a good rainbow, but that definitely happened there. And then I definitely think, like, here's another one that I did around Easter time that I just didn't really like the color story of. Like, the orange came out a lot more vibrant than I had expected. At this point in time, I don't think I had color swatches for all of my shades yet. It took me a while to, like the Decotime markers come with a printable on their website that you can download and print off, and then you can color in all the shades, and that has been really helpful and really improved the way my colors came together in the end, I find. And then around May time, I really started to experiment more with like gel markers and acrylics and things like that, and like covering up black lines. This was another one that I was pretty proud of. I like the little blue glow on the stone. I'm not a huge fan of like the little stripy things I did around the gems. I think if I would have left that out, it would have been even better, but I like how I colored the little bear. And this is from Fairy Fuzz by Amelia Green. Anna Amelia, that's the creator's name. This is one of my favorite coloring books. This is one I go back to all the time. I love doing the pages in here. This is the last one I did, and that I'm really, really proud of. I love how it sort of came together with like the reflection on the bear of like the little light from the window and stuff. I do see a lot of people like covering up a lot of the black lines. That's like the one thing everybody seems to be doing. And that's something that I'm not a huge fan of doing all the time. This is another one I really liked. I like the stained glass effect that I created here. And it has all of the colors of the page in as well. So I have been playing around with like different color stories and things like that. So this is a good one. Another book that I love is the Froggy Days book by Miss Kitch. This is my favorite color book creator. I have the most color books by this color book creator, and I would like to get the other ones just to have the complete collection, really. But this is another one I keep coming back to. This page I really love. I did the sticker effect, and I tried to create these balloons, which actually worked out quite well, I have to say. So I love that. But here again, there are some, like, questionable, like this is one of the first pages I did. I'm like, oh, I didn't like that one. But then I also ended up doing this page right before my summer vacation, and that I really like. I like the way the shades come together, etc., etc. I got better at doing like a glowy effect at things. That's something I played around with. I did this fall-inspired page around the fall time that I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, there's plenty of pages that I've done in here that I really, really do like, and I like going back to this one from time to time. There's still plenty of pages of this that I still need to color, though. But Froggy Days is one where, when I'm stuck in a rut and I don't know what to color, Froggy Days. Another coloring book I keep coming back to is Fuzzy Hooga. This is actually one of the first coloring books I bought. A lot of the things that I got when I first started out are things I'm currently no longer enjoying coloring. A lot of the Coco Wyo, bold and easy things that I had at the start of my coloring journey, I no longer color into. I actually gave a lot of them away to my colleague, and I've put some of them away in storage. I'm like, maybe my cousins or my like when my nieces and nephews come over, maybe they can color in them, because I'm just not that interested in the sort of bolder, easy styles, you could say. This is another book that I sort of got started in. I remember this like being one of my first pages, actually. Where did that one go? I think this one was one of my first pages. I couldn't even color things and not have them like be weird, and at the time I didn't let my pages dry completely before closing the book, so a lot of my pages in these older books are also marked, which is a bit of a shame. I did do this one in the fall time that I'm really, really enjoying. So I've just been able to do more prints and like details and stuff, and adding like the fireplace and stuff. That's been something I'm really, really enjoying. And this is another book that, again, if I'm stuck in a rut, I don't know what to do, I tend to go back to it. And then over the summertime, I did this one as well, but I'm really happy with how it came out. So it's just, especially these older books that I've had from the start, I'm like, did I really like everything that I did there? Maybe not, but hey ho, we made it work. And then over the summertime, I did travel, so I didn't get to color as much. And then I came back from vacation. I'm like, because I was coloring mainly in the springtime, I had a lot of like spring vibe coloring books, but I didn't have anything that was like spooky or more fall or that sort of level of cozy or like wintry. So I definitely invested in some of those. And these are some of my other like favorite creators. Like I like Vivi Tinta, but I also really enjoy Whirly Art Studio. They have some beautiful things. It's always like very whimsical, like fairies and stuff. I think they also do one with dragons, but this is a page I've done in here that I really, really enjoyed. This was my first time doing this Aurora Lights sort of situation, so liking that. I also like Oda Agda. They have some really fun books as well. This is also, again, a little bit more whimsical. It's this like fictional people that live in the forest, and they do all these foresty things. Again, this is one of my favorite pages that I did in that December coloring challenge I did for myself. Again, here, not all color, like, all the pages came out the way I wanted to, mainly because I was also trying to play with, like, sticking to one sort of, like, color scheme. This is another page I really enjoyed. This one went viral. A lot of people were coloring this one in, but I love, like, this burgundy with the sagey green vibe. That's just my favorite thing. And this is another one that I really, really enjoyed. I really like the color story, a little bit more cold, and I like how I created the little polar bear thing. So yeah, some things that worked out, some things that didn't. Let me see, what's one that I'm like, Like this is another one where I was like, I just want to play with a different color story. Does it go with the vibe of the page? Not necessarily, and by this time I got a little bit bored of some of the coloring pages that were in here. I did color this one around Christmas, and I put a lot of time in getting the texture in that Christmas tree. So those all worked really well, and I'm really proud that I made it through like most of this book. But at the end, I was just like, No. So I did quit, even though I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 pages left or something. And there's like there's 30 pages in here. So that's quite a bit, and I did color almost every single day. And like I said, I kind of shot myself in the foot with that because I had done so much coloring that in most of January and February, I just had no inspiration to color. I was like, I no longer know what color scheme to go for. I no longer know what pages to pick. It was a complete thing. I was very much stuck in a rut. And then this is a color book creator that I'm sort of like still testing out. This is Susie Slug. I do really enjoy these pages, but I feel there's a lot of like room for interpretation with these. Let me show you, like, this is one that I want to do next. This is the one that's like ready to go for me to color. And you can see that there's a lot of like blank space that by the time you get to the actual end result, you've done so many layers and different things. Like this is one of my finished pages in this coloring book. And I have another one in here, I think. Yeah, this one I really, really liked. I love this like purpley gray tone. I actually take inspiration from loads of different places for these like color schemes. There is an app that I use, the Coolors app, that gives you like a color palette and it generates it for you, and then you find like you best match up the shades if you want to. But I also like consume a lot of like color talk content, and sometimes I see people using really, really cool color stories, so I will either screenshot the page, or if they show what markers they're using, I will go by that and then sort of match it up as close as possible. And this was one of those things that I saw somebody else use, and it was like, that could be fun. And I actually, this is the first time I sort of created my own little background with the trees that these weren't here. Like all of these trees in the background weren't officially there, and I just saw another page where I was like, yeah, that has a lot of empty space. Like something like this, I mean, you have a lot of room to be creative and add as many details as you want, whereas with some other pages, there's already a lot there and you don't have to do that much work. I'm not sure whether I'm loving this as much yet. This takes a lot more time to create. I think I just like a happy medium where I get a little bit of creativity I can use, but I also can like fill in the color, like the lines, and I'm good. So those are some things that I've been working on, and then I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you go onto my TikTok, that's where I share all of my coloring pages, so if you want more, I'm still really enjoying this hobby. I'm just having a great time, but like I said, I'm not always feeling like coloring anymore, and I think that's okay as well. It's just one of those things where I'm like, if I feel like doing it again, I can very easily just pick up my supplies and just do it. And to be quite fair, that page has been sitting on my kitchen table like ready to go for like the past week, and I haven't gotten around to it because every single time I'm like, I'd rather read a book, and then I read my book. So it's been lovely to see how those things sort of interact and go together and how my brain works. But yeah, I'm still really enjoying coloring. Am I the best colorer on the planet? No, but it's just something I like doing for me, and that I really enjoy sharing with other people just to have a bit of a chin wag about it. So yeah, this was just a quick little video where I give you a little update about my coloring journey 1 year down the line. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Follow me on TikTok if you want to see more of my coloring shenanigans, because I tend to post it more so on there than I do here. I kind of roll in the coloring sort of content from time to time, but yeah, if I'm not coloring that much, then I'm also not going to be talking that much about it, you could say. So yeah, I just thought it could be fun to reflect on what coloring brought me in the past year. It's definitely like a new skill I've acquired. I'm much better at this than I had expected. I thought like every page would look like it was made by a 5-year-old, but I've been able to do some things that I wasn't able to do before. I'm discovering things where I'm like, if they had ever explained this to me in art classes when I was in school, I would have enjoyed them so much more. I don't know. And it's also like one of the things that I'm also like discovering when I'm journaling. Like one of the reasons why I struggled being creative, you could say, is because I don't want to ruin things. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just like, I've done things to this book that's almost like Wreck My Journal-esque. Like someone did this technique to create bokeh effects. which is this page right here, and you actually drip alcohol onto the page. And I don't think I would have liked doing that if I don't feel like, oh yeah, it's okay if I mess up, you know? It's okay if so it's been very much sort of teaching me to let go of things. You have to be able to do something perfectly before you can do it, sort of thing. Which is also like with makeup and stuff, that's always something that's held me back of like doing certain eye looks and stuff, because I'm like, I can't do that anyway. But then I feel I'm sort of already like canceling myself before I've ever even started. So it's been very helpful for getting into that sort of side of things for myself. So it's been teaching me a lot about me and about how I deal with things in life. So I don't want to get too philosophical, but yeah, that's definitely what it's brought me. So thanks for being here, and I hope to see you again next week for a new video. See you then. Bye-bye.